One of the reasons why I know this therapy is different from other types of sport therapies is because where all of them are good for students with disabilities, to try to give them a sport that they can handle alongside their disability, this sport, this equipment, is a living, breathing horse that has a mind of its own, that you must communicate with, unlike a tennis racket or a baseball bat. When a child wants to ride a horse, they have to speak to the horse and tell it to go. They have to move their arms and legs in communication to the horse alongside their voice. There are a lot of different ways to communicate, and all of those must be executed by this rider. So when they deal with their equipment or their tools in these lessons, those equipment pieces and tools are living, breathing, thinking animals that have to be told what you want them to do. And that is an incredible team ship that comes from the fact that they have to work together to make this successful. We're all here because we adore horses and the effect that they have on each one of us. What I like a lot about this job is that I get to wear so many different hats, and a lot of times the hat is my fundraising hat, and that's fun because it's easier to sell something that you're passionate about than something that you're not. I also love working on board development because I get to meet a lot of fascinating people that each bring their own strengths to the table, and then we work together to brainstorm short-term goals and long-term goals for the horse park. And that's always fun to have a work in progress. There's never an end. The job always continues, and there's always something more to do and something exciting to add on. What we want for our future is to be able to accommodate a little bit more growth with our program, and with that comes enlarging some of our arenas and finding times during the day when we can accommodate people that are not at work and not in school. So we're looking at various programs where we can build a little bit more, serve a few more people because we have so many that want to use this facility. But we also want to use this as a training facility for other programs. We want very much to be a launching pad for other therapeutic centers because there's room for so much growth there in multiplying the number of therapeutic riding centers in Georgia, in the Southeast, in the whole country. And that is one of our preeminent goals, is to become a premier training center for future centers. One thing that we've done towards that end is made sure that all of our instructors pretty quickly achieve their certification as NORA instructors and then begin work on becoming advanced NORA instructors. This will allow them, as they reach each additional level, to be able to teach clinics and be able to be facilitators as we try to provide clinics for future therapeutic center owners. And our therapeutic program director and our executive director are both very well recognized throughout the national organization as being premier leaders in this area. Another plan we have that we hope to have off the ground and running next year is a new program for war veterans. Many of them have missing limbs. It makes it very apparent they were war veterans, but several of them are suffering from mental challenges as well as a result of fighting in the war. And this program will take them leaps and bounds into areas of progress, both physically and mentally. So we're very excited about working with veterans. With a 501c3 nonprofit, you have to raise a certain amount of money every year in light of your budget. And our fundraising every year is somewhere in the neighborhood of $400,000 to $500,000. And that comes through a collection of events each year. We try to make them all different so that they interest different groups. So we're trying not to go back to the same well twice in 1 year. And it is a very key part of what we do, not only because the revenues support the programs here, but we never rely too heavily on only the fundraising. You must, as a healthy organization, have revenues coming in from other sources. So we have boarding fees, and we have lesson revenue from the children in the neighborhood without disabilities. And this makes it a nice combination of revenue. In our fundraising events each year, our biggest, largest event in the spring has, as part of the success, a large silent auction. That's fun to see people walk away with something that they enjoy, that they want to have, while they're supporting the horse park at the same time. And it's always hats off to all the people that donate the items that everybody wants. We're only doing 4 items, so it's not one of those live auctions that drags on and on. But the 4 items are our best and most favorite items. That'll be a lot of fun. But in the back of the room, if y'all look to the back, you've got gorgeous young riders in their riding gear. They're going to walk through the room. And they have their helmets in their hands.
$5,000. Can we go 55? $5,000 going once.
When Catherine was a week old, we learned that she had brain damage, and soon after that, we found out that she had cerebral palsy. And I guess it's fortunate that we learned early on that she was going to have some challenges and some difficulties in her life, so we were able to go ahead and start thinking about different therapies for her. So when I heard about the therapeutic riding program at Chastain, I thought this might be a good fit for Catherine. Like most little girls, she loves animals, especially horses, and so I contacted Brent, and after talking to him, thought this is perfect and sign us up. We just really appreciate the dedication of the therapists, of Brent, of the volunteers, and just want to thank them so much. And just to kind of let you know how dedicated they are, just a quick story. About our second or third session, I got a call from Brent who said, "Whitney, I was just calling to tell you that the weather forecast for today is, I think, going to be freezing or below freezing temperatures with a chance of snow flurries, and I certainly understand if you want to cancel Catherine's session." I think my answer was something like this: Brent, I've been bribing my child for the past hour to be a good little girl, and she's bundled up, and I don't care if she comes to the park and sits on Pooh Bear's back for 10 minutes. We're going to be there. Brent said with his usual cheerful self, "Okay, we'll see you there." Now, I'm not quite sure what he said after he hung up the phone, but, I bundled Catherine up in her little snowsuit, and we headed off to the park. And there we met Brent with the volunteers, who were also wearing their winter coats and their stocking caps and their gloves. But the most important thing that they were wearing were huge grins on their faces. And you would have thought that that cold, blistery February day was a day like today. And to them, it seemed like there was no other place that they would rather be than spending that hour with my daughter.
What we do, I feel like, as therapists and instructors and volunteers out here, what I've said before is that we're kind of the hands and feet of Chastain Horse Park. And you guys are our heart and soul. And I just want to say thank you very much, from the hands and feet to the heart and soul, for everything that you've done, everything that you're doing.
We normally have about 80 to 100 items and a few live auction, and then it totals a net of about $70,000 after all expenses for the horse park, strictly out of the auction piece of it. When you look at the vast number of students and organizations that we serve with our therapeutic riding program, it's nice to see it from the standpoint that when people donate and support Chastain Horse Park, in effect, they are supporting several nonprofits, because they are supporting the kids with autism and the kids with cerebral palsy and the kids that are visually impaired that come to us from different organizations, all of which are 501c3 nonprofits. So it is fun to feel like we're a family of charitable organizations that are served through this activity that so many of them enjoy. So it's nice to see that it's not just one group of students. It's a very broad and varied group of disabilities, both physical and mental, and organizations that are charitable like we are. When people ask me why I decided to take this over, a lot of it stems from my childhood and the fact that I was passionate as a child about wanting to be around horses and eat, sleep, drink, breathe horses. And even though I don't have the same luxury today as an adult and I work more in the office and more on the phone, I still am able to see in the faces of the kids here the same crazy about horses passion that I had as a child. And that's more exciting to me than anything, to know that by leaps and bounds, by dozens and dozens, these people here are going through the same connection that I did. It's hard for people to realize what it means to have a bond with a horse until they spend time with a horse. Horses by nature, when you walk up to them, if you've never been around them, are intimidating. They're large, they're strong. There is a sense of vulnerability that is scary at first. But once a person develops a relationship, this unspoken bond of communication between a horse and a person, they begin to realize the power behind that relationship that is far greater than any kind of physical benefit that comes from it. The emotional benefit, that is where the self-confidence comes from. This booming sense of self-confidence all of our riders gain doesn't come from the instructor and the volunteers. It comes in large part from this relationship with the horse. One of the things I love about my role now is that I'm able to bring to all of these children, whether they've never been around horses yet or whether they've already been around them, I'm bringing to them the opportunity to do it in this environment, not just for boarders or just for kids that are in the lesson program or just for therapeutic kids. They're all using the same facilities, the same arenas, and it's fascinating to watch all those different pieces combined with that one thread, that one passion for the horse.